I just level up the stage. Go! Levier.
All right, I'm here. All right, welcome to the What's Your Question podcast. I'm on the hunt for the most powerful questions that'll give me the most powerful changes in my life and the lives of others. So what's your question?
I got champion DNA. Turn my worries into plays. I don't fold, I'm not a pig. I just level up the stage. I got champion DNA.
Welcome to another episode of What's Your Question podcast, where I'm on the hunt for 52 of the most powerful questions, give me the most powerful answers to help me in my life and the lives of others. And I'm going to be the guinea pig today. Guess what? We back. Check this out. Last week's question. I'm just going to recap last week's question. Still in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you hadn't read that by Stephen Covey, go ahead and check it out, right? Last week's question was synergy. How can synergy help me? And they were saying what synergy means is combining different strategies, experiences, and viewpoints so that the third alternative emerges and the outcome is better than any of the other original ideas. So first of all, we got to believe that there is a third identity, a third option, something that we hadn't even thought of, but we got to first put all the cards on the table. One of the things that I did like about last week when we was going through that question was I had to kind of figure out what I was protecting. I'm protecting something, you protecting something. If we're willing to divulge what we're protecting, then we can come up with a third identity, starting with what we want to protect first, build that in there, and then kind of go from there. It's almost like, whenever you ever seen somebody build a bank, they put the vault in first. And then build everything else around what you want to protect. I like that. I thought that was pretty slick. But then right after that, right after I did that, my kids took me out to see Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man. We went out and checked Spider-Man out, so I went and hung out with the kids. And one of the things they was talking about in there is using those experiences, those viewpoints, those different strengths of the people around. And he was trying to do everything by himself. When in essence, there was other capable people of handling the regular stuff. He could take a break. But see, that's the deal. He was going hard, man. And he should have went soft, man. I'm telling you, man, if y'all ain't got on the hard, it's the new soft, man. No, soft is the new hard. What? I'm telling you, that's the only way. That's the only way, baby. That's the only way that you could go harder, man, is to go softer. And that's what he had to do in the movie. So I got that out there. So throughout the week, I was trying to leverage that, right? Not trying to do everything, just going back and taking inventory, everything that I was trying to do by myself, and then see how I can build a team. Because it said one thing last week that if you're going to go fast, if you want to go fast, go by yourself, right? But if you want to go far, you got to go with others. So we got to build a team. And that's what I'm getting in my mind. And it's a tough thing. I'm going to tell you, it's kind of tough. When you've done stuff by yourself for a long period of time, it's hard to kind of bring other people in because your ego, my ego, kind of feel like it's under attack. Like, hey, look, man, so you're trying to say, because what happened is, this is the deal, right? This only makes sense, right? Because when you bring somebody else in on a project that you've been working on, or there's some of the stuff you've been doing, you're afraid that they're going to look at it and say, oh, man, this is subpar. You did that. You've been doing that. Then it's almost like your ego is being ridiculed or being attacked. And hey, look, that was, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying when people look at your stuff, right? First thing you do, hey, I'm in the car business, right? First thing you do, man, you go out and want to look at somebody's car. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to apologize, especially if there's some bags and some trash or something in there. They're going to apologize because the ego is automatically coming up with, hey, look, they're going to be looking at me they're gonna be looking down on us, man. We need to keep ourselves up. So we apologize, let them know that this is not the way I normally do, which it probably is, right? I know how I am, right? I know how I am. I'm looking around, right? I know that everybody got some baggage, right? So anyway, we're trying to clear all that out. That's what I'm trying to do. All right. That was last week's question. I did Spider-Man. I worked with my coworkers and also leveraging AI to come up with. Everybody know that. If you ain't on it, need to be on it, right? It ain't going nowhere. So let's dive into it. AI need to be your strategic partner. It needs to be one of the ones that's in. I ain't saying take over and do everything, but it's got to be in the loop. It's got to put it in the loop, man. Become more efficient to also see things. Because one of the questions last week, right, is what am I missing? Is there anything that I'm missing? Right? That was one of the good questions last week. It said it helps you use differences as creative material, right? And I don't have to get the credit. All right, leads me to this week's question. The seventh habit, which is called Sharpen the Saw. Okay. All right. Okay. This week's question. I'm back. This week's question. Okay. Sharpen the Saw, the seventh habit. I like this. Here, check this out, right? Because he said, you ever been too busy driving to stop to get gas? All the maintenance stuff. Too busy working. Too busy doing all the stuff that we're doing. That's what sharpening the saw is. And so I posed this question to it. I want to dissect this question. Why does using the seventh habit, sharpen the saw, shifts my mindset? Here's the core question. Why does using the habit, sharpen the saw, shift my mindset? That's a good question. Because if I'm using that seventh habit, which is sharpening the saw, that's going to be a period. I know in the Bible they talk about enter my rest. That's going to be a period of rest, and sometimes we can't rest. We don't want to sharpen the saw because we feel that we got to keep doing, we got to keep going, got to stay busy. Otherwise, we're going to lose traction. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind. So I ain't got time to stop to sharpen the saw. I just got to keep going. I got to stay ahead because if I slow down, if I stop to do something like that, then boom, I'm behind. They left me. In the comparison, right? But the only thing I should be comparing is myself, right? Me against myself this yesterday, not the other guy. They running their own race. I don't even know what race they running. But we feel like we got to run with them. And they could have just sharpened they saw. You see what I'm saying? They could have. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that's the core question, right? And this is more than just a question about self-care. I'm just reading at this thing, right? It teaches lasting effectiveness. It requires renewal in 4 dimensions: physical, mental, spiritual, social, emotional. The deeper shift is from demanding more performance from the same self to continually increase the capacity of that self. You see what I'm saying? So that's the key thing right there. I'm demanding more from the old self. That's the deal. That don't even make sense, right? How can I get more power out of a weak car? I can stomp on the gas, I can race, I can do all that kind of stuff, man, but it just ain't gonna flow. So I gotta get back, I gotta improve. I know that. We all know that. We all know it, right? I know that I gotta go ahead and lift weights and get stronger. I know that I gotta watch my diet. I know I gotta do all that stuff, but in the programming of it all, right? In the programming of it all, I just gotta keep. I be like, man, if I stop. But here's the funny thing, right? This is the funny thing. I want to sharpen the saw, but here's the deal. I find the saw, sharpening the saw sometime to be in work. So I kind of set it up. Okay, I'm gonna pick the perfect day, pick the perfect time. I need the perfect tools, and I never get around to sharpening the saw. And now I'm running with a dull blade, right? I don't know if you ever cut wood or cut fish or cut anything with a dull knife. You just sawing on, and you know in your mind this is a dull knife. I need to take the time to sharpen this, but no, I got to get this food prepared right now. I'll sharpen it later. That's where it always goes. But guess what? Later never comes, right? Until it's just absolutely. Sometimes I'm gonna tell you, if you don't sharpen a saw or an axe or whatever, and you just welling and welling, sometimes it breaks. And I was telling her about my daughter, right? My daughter, she's got a new job and stuff, hanging out with friends, flying all over the place, and not getting enough rest, not sharpening the saw. We said, when me and my wife were like, hey, look, you need to calm. You know, we always say that, right? You need to slow down. You need to calm down. You need to slow down. Because that saw could break. It could break. So that's why you want to keep it sharp. So check this out, right? The anatomy of the question. Let's dig in. Anatomy of the question. The why moves beneath the techniques and searches for a principle that causes the transformation. That's why I'm always looking for the why. I know that it's happening, but why did it happen? If I can get to that core that's causing the transformation, I'm looking for the ingredients, man. Then once I find the ingredients, then I got to get the right recipe together. The right amounts got to be pinched in. You see what I'm saying? Using is part of the question because I'm going to be using this habit of sharpening the saw. It makes the question experiential. The habit becomes something practiced, not merely understood. And that's what I'm trying to do with working with these questions. Hey, we're understanding them now. We're going through, but then I got to put it into practice next week. I got to put this into practice. I know what I have to do. I got to put in my exercise time in first. Go ahead and put it, man, you know what? I know I'm guilty. I'm guilty, right? I had been writing on, I had been writing on the calendar, man. I don't know why. Yes, I know I had been writing on it, right? Man, we gotta get the calendar out, right? I gotta get the calendar out. That's sharpening the saw. Because I'm sitting down because I feel like I gotta keep moving, right? Things ain't been, I hadn't planned it. It's 2 or 3 things I hadn't done yet, right? And that's a big rock thing. It's the calendar, it's writing down on the calendar, that's big rock. Okay, sharpen the saw, the other part of the question. That introduces renewal instead of endless production. I deliberately restore and increase my ability to produce. And that's what we want to do. That's the leverage that we're looking for. And how does it shift my mindset? I want to make sure that, because that's what I got to do. I got to change this. Going soft. I got to shift the mindset from the way I was into a new. I sometimes, I don't even know what the new mindset look like because I ain't never been there. There's no way to know. I can look at others. I can assume what their mindset is, but until I get there, I know one of those things of the mindset is leave no loose ends. And there was another question too, man. Leave no loose ends. If I'm adopting that mindset of leave no loose ends, that means that I have to not start as many projects and be picky with the projects I'm starting and only start the project with the most leverage. That's how I flow. That's how I flow right there. The hearing paradigm shift. This is what's hidden. Renewal mindset. Because I have so much to do, renewal is part of the work. That's right. It was a story. He put a story in there. He put a story. Soft is the new hard. Reigning champion, man. This is in the book, right? Reigning champion. He a reigning champion of chopping down the trees. And so the newcomer come on. This guy, he the reigning champion 5 years in a row, big and muscular. This other guy, man, that's average size, right? So he gets up on there. He's going to challenge the reigning champion. So he goes in and they cutting wood, right? Then the other guy, the new guy, said, "Hey, look, is it okay if I take a quick 10-minute break?" And they was shocked. I said, 10-minute break? He has a chance. This guy won't take a 10-minute break. You got anything against that? He said, no, man, it make me crazy, man. We chopping wood. Go ahead and take your break. So the guy go take his break. He come back out. He's chopping. 30 minutes go by. I said, man, hey, can I take another 10-minute break? The guy said, yeah, go do it. Go take it. He does it again. The guy said, man, this guy's crazy. How you gonna take breaks and we in a race of chopping the most wood? Come back out, end of the thing, and they measured all the wood that was chopped. You already know where it's going, right? And so the guy said, man, you took all them breaks, man. Let's see, man, you just forfeit. He knew, the champ knew he had won. But when they counted it up, the new guy had chopped more wood and took all the breaks. And the guy said, man, how in the world you did that? They said, well, hey, when I said I was taking a break, I was taking a break. I was resting my body, replenishing my body, but also, too, I was sharpening my axe. And that was the key thing. He replenished his body, he hydrated, he rested, and he sharpened the axe before going back out there. See, that's the key thing. Sometimes we rest, but we'll sharpen the axe while we resting, baby. We gotta sharpen the axe. Then we got to sharpen the axe. That's what we doing right now. We sharpening the axe right here. Soft is the new hard, and guess what? Guess who I am? Guess who you are? Man, I am the saw. I'm the saw. You the saw. I was talking to a guy. Probability versus possibility. We was getting into something. We was talking about 50-50. And he was understanding what I was saying, that 50-50. He said, man, but I'm more of a realist. I like to go with probability. I like to take past data and then see the probability of this going on in the future. And we went back and forth with it. He had his viewpoint. I had my viewpoint. And I thanked him for his input. But I understand one fundamental thing, that I was going in a different direction than he was going. Because with probability, I did this with the AI too. I ran it by the AI. The AI was on his side until I reiterated that, hey, probability is taking past results and performance, using past tools and technologies, and trying to figure out the probability of reproducing that in the future. And I'm saying I'm going on the possibility. Well, okay, I know the past performance, but guess what? We have new tools, we have better technology, which makes the old data obsolete. That's what you got to take into account, baby. See what I'm saying? Because I could be operating with slower, but I know that we're in a new era. We're in a whole new era, baby. We're in a whole new era. So now, okay, yeah, I know I was only run a mile back then, but now, huh? Now they was using horse and buggies. Now we got airplanes. What's the difference? I can't do a probability based on horse and buggies. Bruh. Let's get on, baby. Let's get on. Okay. Identity transformation. Here it go. Identity often operates on a loop. I will go over this loop, but it has 4 identity laboratories, is where they put it. In the physical, I steward my energy, movement, sleep, nutrition, and recovery. We talked about that. The mental, I upgrade my thinking. I'm reading, studying, planning, and posing these questions. We're doing that right now. The spiritual, I remember what matters. Purpose, value, prayer, meditation, and reflection. Let's jump into it. What deserves a no? Because we got to say no to a lot of stuff. Social emotional. This is the part right here that I've been working on. My social emotional. We're going to get into this a little bit more. I'm going to slow down. Only reason I have been getting to a lot of social emotional stuff, man, because I figured that it required a lot more energy, right? And I ain't want to get tied up into the drama, right? But I'm tweaking that a little bit. Relationships become training grounds. That's what I'm talking about, baby. You know what I'm saying? Empathy, courage, boundaries, and listening and contribution and synergy. I gotta build that up if I'm gonna go farther. I'm going fast, but I want to go farther, richer. And so I'm going to need to do this social emotional. I'm going to need to do that. Do not measure habit 7 only by whether you complete exercises, reading, reflection, or relationship time. Measure whether those practices are changing me. Who do I show up afterwards? Who do I show up afterwards? That's the key thing, is changing this identity. Who do I show up? How do I show up? We already know, man. I've been squatting, man. I know I've been getting stronger. I know we've been working on these questions. I know we've been getting stronger. And, I'm gonna dive into it. I know y'all got. Hey man, we gonna go live. We gonna get together. We gonna get together. We all gonna get together. Y'all just hold tight now because I still had that one mission that I have to do. I can't be distracted. Is I have to get through the 52 questions. Now, once I feel that I've built a strong enough foundation, you see what I'm saying? Because the enemy of great is good. And I want to make sure that I get that foundation in there strongly. You see what I'm saying? Transcendence and metacognition. That's always a good word right here. Look at this. Check this out, man. It is learning to observe the thinking that normally controls you. You create enough distance from the automatic reaction to examine it and choose according to higher principles. Here you go, right? An event happens. This brain right here interprets the event. That's what it automatically does. And if I don't watch it now, it'll go ahead and make a decision, handle it for me. Hey, don't worry about it. I got that handled, right? 9 times out of 10, the brain is handling all the other stuff automatically. But sometimes the emotion get triggered, right? Then the impulse to do something comes up. Then it says, I pause. This right here, in this gap right here, I got to pause before my response come up. And that's what we're working on right here with this transcendence and metacognition and watching this thing, what it's doing, because I want to increase the pause gap, because that's where all my power is. That's where all the mistakes are made or corrected right into that realm right there. Before the response comes, hold on, wait a minute. I know the brain, you did all this stuff right here, triggered all these emotions, released all, you got these chemicals ready to go. Hold on, let's just check and just make sure. Then that's when my higher principles come in. That's when these questions come in. And then that's what I choose my response. I choose it. I say, hold on, man, this is just false. This ain't even real. Because here's the one thing, man, the brain can't tell what's real and what's imagined. Now, that's a two-edged sword. We can use that to our advantage, right? We can use that to our advantage, but it also, most of the time, it's being used to our detriment because we can't tell what's real and what's fake. It's what's imagined. Somebody, I hit a guy the other day, man. I hit him on the shoulder. Like that, what's up? Then the guy, he could interpret that as me being mean, picking on him, or he could interpret that as me being his friend, comrade, love. All from one action. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So we need to catch ourselves. This is even worth time. Okay, here you go. The pause is the leverage point. You are not escaping humanity. You are transcending some of your automatic patterns. And a situation that once demanded enormous effort can become easier when approached from a higher quality paradigm. Leverage. We got to get leverage, baby. We got to leverage each other. We got to leverage. We already got the tools and people around us. We just got to bring it all together. And that's going to be the key. The one that can bring it together. The coach that can bring it together. Bring the team together. Then that's how you build a dynasty. Okay. The leapfrog. I'm not always leapfrogging to go faster. Sometimes leapfrogging to one level higher. Here's the deal. Check this out. The leapfrog is what I'm saying. We could go faster, right? But one thing I found out to be true, man, it was almost by happenstance. But I know that it's out there. There's certain frequencies that we operate on. It's frequencies all over, just like a radio station dial. All the frequencies are available right now. Boom. What if you replace the word frequency with blessings? All the blessings, all the opportunities are available right now, but I have to tune to the right song, the right frequency, which gets me on the right flow. Because on this level, I got all access to the tools and the thinking and the manpower on this level. But if I raise it up to a higher level, I got better tools, better people, better thinking. Like my daughter was telling me, I was asking, she was playing the saxophone. And she said, Dad, look, I got to get another saxophone. I got to get this one. I said, what? They look the same. What's the difference in the saxophone? That's what I said, because it's more money, right? I said, it's more money. I say, why? What's the difference? Tell me the difference. She say, all I know is that the notes come out easier on this one. It's smoother. The fingerings are quicker. They come out. It's better. It's easier. It's easier. I'm doing the same effort, but it's easier because she on a new level, a new frequency. I got new tools at my disposal. Just in the thinking, and the way I change the frequency, change the levels, and get on a different level is just in this thinking. And guess what? It's all in the thinking. But if I'm on social media and I'm watching other stuff, guess what that's doing? That's automatically changing my dial by what I'm looking at. So I need to change that in order to, because you just can't. It's just thinking. We're gonna get it deep on that. Man. That's too deep to go in right here, but that's part of sharpening the saw, baby. That's part of sharpening the saw. Okay, level 1. Force make you. Here's the leapfrog principle. Level 1, force. Make yourself do it. That's hard. Level 2, motivations. How can I get motivated? Somebody gonna go hard on me, right? Level 3, systems. How can I redesign the environment so that behavior becomes easier? Now we're getting softer. Identity. Who must I become in here for the behavior to feel natural? Even softer. And then level 5 is renewal. What part of myself needs sharpening? So I no longer experience the problem in the same way. For example, procrastination may not be primarily require more force. I may mentally be exhausted. I could be disconnected from the mission. I can be afraid of imperfection. This ain't talking all the good stuff. Physically depleted, lacking in perspective. The high level solution becomes not simply try harder, but renew intelligently by going softer. Soft is the new hard, baby. You soft? How can you go soft today? Let's go soft today. All right, we're gonna use this 7-habit upgrade, okay? I'm gonna use habit 7 to upgrade the other 6 habits. That's what the beauty of this was. Now I got the sharpening the saw. I can sharpen the saw. I can sharpen each habit. Habit 1. Where have I become reactive? I can sharpen that. Habit 2. Has my vision become blurry? Habit 3. Have urgent things replace important things? Habit 4. Where has scarcity entered my thinking? Habit 5. Who have I judged before understanding? Habit 6. Where am I forcing either or instead of seeking a third alternative? And then habit 7. What capacity needs renewing so I can practice all 6 habits better? That's good stuff. I ain't gonna lie. That's good stuff. All right. We got a 20-minute sharpening session. Is what they put together for me. Physical, 5 minutes. Walk, stretch, do mobility work, body weight exercise, push-ups, movement. What does my body need from me today? 5-minute mental. Read several pages, study ideas, write a plan, writing and planning. Okay, I'm doing that. Thinking through one problem, ask what assumptions am I operating from that may no longer be useful. Okay, that's what we talking about earlier. I'm gonna spend 5 minutes on the spiritual. I'm gonna pray, meditate, journal. I like journaling. Visualize your future self. The faith kicking in right there, baby. And I'm gonna reread my mission. But you got to have a mission written out in order to reread it, right? So this writing is becoming a key integral part in this thing, man. That's a skill that I gotta learn. I gotta learn that. What would be the highest version of me considered what's important today? Social emotional. Okay. I'm gonna encourage someone, listen deeply, thank someone, apologize, resolve tension, and make the difficult call. The next, how can I leave one person stronger because they encountered me today? That's a good question. And that is the one thing too. I still gotta pose that other question to my son today. That's gotta happen today. I gotta do it to my son, do it to my wife. I still hadn't did those two. And you know what I'm talking about too. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, real life application. I understand that. Instead of immediately reacting, I'm gonna chill, assess the situation. AI as a cognitive sharpening partner. Now we in a new realm, baby. It's a sharpening partner right here. After journaling about a problem, give AI the situation, my interpretation, my emotional response, my proposed solution, and my non-negotiable valuables. And then I'm gonna ask AI this prompt. Identify the assumptions I'm treating as fact. Give me 5 interpretations I haven't considered. Tell me which dimension of my saw needs sharpening and generate a third alternative that preserves my values. The goal is not to surrender judgment to the AI. The goal is to use external intelligence. That's EI. That ain't AI. That's a little joke, man. You know, I got a little joke every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Challenge the limits of my first interpretation. All right, I got a weekly saw audit. Find the highest leverage renewal. I like this. This is from the one thing. I like this. Once a week, score each dimension from 1 to 10. Then do not automatically attack the lowest score. Ask the single dimension question. If improved, what will create the positive, the greatest effect on the other ones? Because we always look at that low score and think we need to bring that low score up. When the key thing is, man, wherever the strong is, wherever the strength at, man, I could just concentrate everything on that one thing, man, and then everything else be easy or unnecessary. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? Yes, that sounds familiar. In my physical, how strong is my energy and capacity? 1 to 10. Mental, how sharp and flexible is my thinking? Spiritual, how connected am I to purpose and principles? And number 3, how healthy are my relationships and emotional responses? My identity statement, I am a continuously renewing person. I don't merely solve problems, I increase the capacity of myself, which is the person solving them. With this identity, failure becomes feedback, conflicts becomes training, fatigue becomes information, fear becomes something to examine, and uncertainty becomes an invitation to think. I like this. I like this. I'm taking everything negative that I may have been trying to avoid, and now I'm seeking those things out, man, because there now is a challenge to sharpen the saw. I'm looking for the dull teeth, baby. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. What part of me must I sharpen so that the problem becomes easy for the person I am becoming? Okay, habit 7, man. The final principle. A dull saw experiences the tree as an enormous obstacle. A sharpened saw experiences the same tree differently. The tree did not change, the capacity meeting the tree changed. Don't spend your entire life demanding easier trees. Keep sharpening the saw. Daily closing question. What needs sharpening in me today? Physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, emotionally. And I can meet today's challenge with a higher level. That's good stuff. Okay. So the question this week, we got our, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put this up, right? We got our question for the week, which is sharpening the saw. And it is, why does using the habit sharpen the saw shift my mindset? Because the key thing is getting into the rest, writing down the pros and cons. And through this whole thing, man, we finding out that the key thing that we got to do is right. But I know a lot of folks, I ran across a cat, finish this up. I ran across a cat and he said, yeah, let's go ahead and, he said, I said, I see you write a lot, man, but do you plan your future? He said, no, I just write things down so I don't forget it. And he thought, man, maybe I need to be writing down my future. Girl, that's what I'm saying, man. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. Let's go ahead and get this crunk up. We're gonna get in. We're gonna rock and roll. Hey yo, what's up? Yo G, what's happening?
Hey, I'm here. Locked in. What's on your mind?
All right, my friend. Here's what I want to know. Identify the assumptions I'm treating as facts. Give me 5 interpretations I haven't considered. Tell me which dimension of my saw needs sharpening, and generate a third alternative that preserves my values.
Just check in. That's a strong meta move. If I look through our thread, here's what I see. One assumption you're taking as fact is maybe that the best answer comes from solo reflection. Sometimes it's the exposure to friction, to other minds, that brings the jump. Another assumption is that a question is powerful in isolation when the actual power is often in just the sustained practice around it. So the ritual, not the insight. A third might be that transcendence comes from more knowledge rather than from distilling what you already practice. Now, 5 interpretations you might not have considered. One, that your podcast isn't just about collecting questions, but modeling a living lab of application. 2, maybe your audience needs less your answers and more your failures with the questions. 3, your FOMO work could actually be pointing to a deeper longing for belonging, not productivity. 4, your search for transcendence might be a search for integration, aligning what you know with how you live. And 5, maybe the third space isn't up or out, it's sideways. Community, collaboration, not solo ascent. For the saw dimension, based on what we've talked about, mental is strong and physical isn't ignored. Spiritual shows up in your quest, but social and emotional, you flagged tensions there. Coworker, neighbor, deeper connection. So that blade could use a little more edge. A third alternative is, instead of either thinking or executing, you run experiments out loud. Make each episode a test, a public practice, which keeps your values of growth, curiosity, and service. One question to leave you with. If you believed your growth depended less on perfect insight and more on consistent experiments, what would you do differently this week?
All right, okay, all right, okay. We like that. That was good. That was good. Let's go ahead. We may put that down now. Put that prompt in there. Do that prompt. Okay. So you got the question for this week. Question for this week. Let's go all the way back. Why does using the 7th habit, sharpen the saw, shift my mindset? That's my question. So what's your question? Peace out. Lay it. Woohoo! Okay.
I just level up the stage. Go, Levier.